Hey everyone. This is Kate Weatherwise, your favorite weather girl, coming to you on Sunday, February 8th, 2026. It is 12:30 on the Pacific Coast, which means it is 3:30 on the East Coast. Now, today's weather video is going to be about the whole country, starting with today and moving through the next 7 days. So we're going to go through next Sunday, maybe even into Monday next week, because we have a few weather stories that I want to talk about and forecasting for some things that are going to be coming up this week and possibly next weekend for the southern, southeast, and mid Atlantic into the northeast part of the country. Similarly to the storm that we saw January 23rd to 25th of this year, but there's going to be some different elements, so it's going to look a little differently, but it's going to take a similar path. So for now, before I get started, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and comment, hit the notification bell so you know when my next video comes out. I do videos daily, whether they are long form or in short form. And please share. This helps my channel out tremendously to get out to the masses. So thank you very much for that. Okay, let's get started with the current temperatures around the country and what we are seeing at the moment. I'm going to take us up into the Pacific Northwest first. We do have a thunderstorm bubble for the Pacific Northwest from the western Washington coast all the way down to the western Oregon coast, almost all the way down. And this is having to do with a system that is coming ashore currently, bringing in some precipitation, and it's very reminiscent of, we'll take a look here in a moment on satellite imagery of an atmospheric river situation. But sometimes when that happens, it can cause a spin up in the atmosphere, some activity, some convective activity that could create some thunderstorms as that system is coming ashore. So that's why that thunderstorm bubble is here, and it's a little bit on the warm side too, so that helps as well. The rest of the area, you're seeing all throughout this area. You're in some areas in the 30s, but mainly in the 40s and 50s and some 60s into Wyoming, into Montana. You're seeing the 50s. It is just crazy warm, crazy warm. You're not usually in the 60-degree range in Wyoming in February. You just aren't. And this whole area, I have spoken to so many people, and I forecasted it as well. It has just been dry and not much snow in the mountains at all. The snow levels are very low, and it's just been above average as far as temperature is concerned. That is going to change for this week, and you will see here in a moment when I get started with what the forecast looks like this week for this whole area. But for now, you're dealing with warmer than average temperatures. There is some rain coming in to the Pacific Northwest. I will show that to you in a moment. But down into California, you are in the 50s and 40s in the north. You are down near 80 degrees in the south. And in the middle, this is where the Super Bowl is being played today. You are having temperatures that are going to be right around in the low 60s, maybe upper 50s by the time the game starts. So we'll see that. Not too shabby as far as weather is concerned. You come over here to, let me put this down a little bit. You come over here to the Texas area. You are much warmer today. And as I've mentioned and reported and forecasted this week, the whole center part of the country was a lot warmer this week, all the way up into Montana, where some areas saw 60 degrees. This whole section right here has been warmer than average for this week. So all of that ice and sleet. I know I talked to some people who have said that they've had several inches or even a foot or more of sleet that had built up and was just sticking around, especially in those shady areas around their house or around, their property or whatever. That was not melting, and it's finally going away, like completely going away. So that is a good thing. And you are going to be, look at this up here in Nebraska, upper 60s in Nebraska. That's pretty wild. Now, as we head east, this is where what I have talked about too, where all of that cold air has been filtering down from Canada into this portion of the country. And we see 8 degrees, we see minus 0 degrees. So that's pretty much 0 degrees, -1, all the way up into New York and into the very top of New England And then of course, when you head further south, it starts to get warmer, but it is still chilly. And we'll see here in a moment too. I will pull up another graphic that shows what's going on for watches, warnings, and advisories around the country. This area is looking at a cold weather watch and warning for tonight with wind chills below zero. But by tomorrow morning and beyond, things should start to warm up, and this whole part of the country is going to be starting to get warmer, whereas the western part of the country is going to start to cool down a little bit. And then you head further south down into Florida. You are sitting nicely right now with temperatures in the 60s and 70s as you head all the way south down into Key West. So this part of the country, you're a little bit warmer. It's a little bit warmer than has been for this part of the country, which has been forecasted and has been shown. So that is looking not too bad. So we're going to head over to the satellite imagery and what that looks like. See what I was just talking about with that Pineapple Express? That is very similar to what we saw it reaches all the way back to the Hawaiian Islands, and that Pineapple Express-esque look. Now, this could be the case. It's pointing a little bit further south. It's not looking like a prolonged Pineapple Express or atmospheric river, but it is looking very much like that, with the winds not so much pointed at the coast, but there is some rain coming into the coast, and that's why they have that thunderstorm bubble, because that could create that sharp edge, especially too behind the front that comes ashore. Out ahead of it, it could create that convective activity that could create some thunderstorms. But this is all rain. Once it gets into the mountains, it will, at those higher elevations, it will create some snow. So that's good for the Cascades of Washington and Oregon and North Idaho. And then into Montana, you have winter weather advisories for portions of North Idaho into western Montana, where you will see some snow, especially in those higher elevations tonight and tomorrow, which is great. And then eventually by the middle of the week, you will start getting into the action of some snow here in the center part of the country around Colorado and Utah as well. And as we head east on this satellite imagery, we do see some clearing here in the center part of the country. And then this is where all of that cold air is. And you can see it still streaming down from the northwest. This is that low pressure system heading to the northeast that is that left behind all of that wind yesterday. That's still a little bit brisk and breezy for all the way from Pennsylvania, New York, down into Maryland and northeastward. But that low pressure system is out here, and it's just pulling in that northwesterly winds and those cold temperatures that will be another chilly, cold night tonight into tomorrow. But like I said, it should start to warm up. It will start to warm up tomorrow and into the rest of the week for you all here on the East Coast. And we'll be talking about here in a moment a system that is looking to start brewing almost in the same spot as that system that brought all of that ice and sleet and snow to a huge swath of the country on from the 23rd to the 25th of January. Okay, so we are going to, this is one of my favorite maps. I just want to look at this really quickly because it tells the tale. And zoom out a little bit. It tells the tale. This is that system. This is the high pressure system that is settling in, bringing in that colder air that will then, I'm going to animate this a little bit, that will then move out of the area and allow things to start to moderate by tomorrow into Tuesday. Things will start to moderate. Now, I'll keep this animated for just another minute so you can see this is February 9th. That's tomorrow morning. And that high pressure starts to break down. You can see that right in action. That cold air starts to break down. Not the high pressure, but the cold air starts to break down and starts to move away. Okay, this is the 10th of February. And then you start to see it change over here in the west too, and specifically in California and those areas. So All right, let's now go to my favorite. This God, I had this all perfectly centered, and of course, by the time I get here, it's not centered anymore. Let's start over here in the west, and we have this rain coming in from the coast. You see that those purples, that's for the mountains. We are going to animate this. This is currently what is going on, and we have some snow in the mountains of central Idaho into Montana, which is why they have that winter weather advisory in effect for the mountains. The high pressure is still in control down here in Colorado, which has been there for a very long time, off and on, but mainly on. And this is Sunday night. As I mentioned, that the snow levels start to come down into Montana as you can see, the purples start to sink down and the reds start to move south throughout the day into Monday. And it's going to continue to be a little snowy here throughout the day on Monday, with some more rain coming into the Pacific Northwest, into western Washington, with snow in the Cascades of Washington State, a little bit into Oregon throughout the day on Monday, which will be nice. And then that colder air sinks further south. So then by the middle of the week, we will start to see a little bit of change in pattern for this part of the country as well. So Northern California, you're going to see some snow in the mountains, into Nevada, into Oregon, into Idaho, into Utah, into Wyoming, and then eventually into Colorado, where, hallelujah, snow will be with you in Colorado starting Wednesday into Thursday and into Friday as well, off and on. So now this is where I'm going to switch. You can see where this colder air sinks further south, and that ridge of nicer weather is sort of just keeping here in the southern, south central southern part of the country, Texas into the most southern states. And there's a little bit of colder air here this week, a little bit below average from about North Carolina northeast to the New England area. And then as we move forward, this is where that system that I was just talking about on Friday starts to blossom, almost in the same area. However, the warm air will be with us this whole week, and there will not be a huge dome of high pressure that brings in cold air to replace it. So that warmer air is going to be there. So this is just going to be rain, and then possibly some thunderstorms and perhaps some severe weather as well in Texas. This is Friday afternoon into evening into Oklahoma. As you can see, it starts to blossom a little bit. And then as we head into Saturday, that's when another round of severe weather comes into the Houston area of Texas, up into Louisiana. We have some rain out ahead of this low pressure system. And it really starts to ramp up during the day, during the late afternoon hours of Saturday, where the oranges are. This is where severe weather could break out. And it's not atypical for this time of year in this part of the country where we see the severe weather possibilities ramp up, because the Gulf is still warm-ish. And then you get these systems that come through and they just sort of spark the atmosphere, especially if they're strong systems. And it just can create that moisture and then that sharp contrast, and could create a severe weather scenario for the southern states. So as we go through the day on Saturday, this is Saturday night, overnight into Sunday, this could be, you may be woken up or may want to stay up for this system as it comes through. Now, as you can see, this is where the low pressure system sits, and it's coming in from almost that same direction that storm came in from January 23rd through 25th. Out ahead of it, we have some ice potential here. Where this reddish color is, that's a potential for some ice. Now, you in Tennessee, it's going to be all rain for you all. So you don't have to worry about that. You got hit with ice, especially in central Tennessee. and Eastern Tennessee, some parts of Eastern Tennessee and some parts of Western Tennessee, but Central Tennessee really got hit. Mississippi really got hit. Arkansas and Louisiana got hit. This is all going to be rain and potentially thunderstorms for you. And as we come out here, this is on Sunday morning. As it really ramps up, ice and mixed precipitation out ahead of it. During the day on Sunday, that system is going to be right around the Appalachian Mountains again, but it's going to be warmer. You can see that it's not going to have that cold tap that other storm did. Now there may be a transition period. It'll start as ice, transition to rain, and then behind the system as it goes through, it'll end with a little bit of snow. And then comes in the wind. As you can see, these isobars are really tightly packed. Let me bring this over here a little bit. That's better. Really tightly packed when it gets out off the coast, which again is going to come off the coast right around Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey area right there in the mid-Atlantic. So there's going to be a huge swath of heavy snow from Pennsylvania all the way up into New York and all the way into New England with a little thin line of mixed precipitation, and then immediately turn to rain on the coast. And as this continues to traverse out into the ocean, it'll end pretty quickly, but it may end as snow for you in northeastern Maryland, which is where I'm from. But this is going to be one to watch because this cold air is going to be behind it. Colder air is going to be behind it. As you can see, this ridge of high pressure stays intact over here in the center part of the country. So when this system goes through, it's going to still stay warm here for you all. And then we still have that deepening trough here in the west where we're going to have snow for lots of areas of the west, which is really good. And I'll go back to that in a second. I just want to focus on this for the moment because this is potentially going to be a pretty big storm where it could bring a good amount of snow. It could bring a fair amount of ice to some areas, and then some severe thunderstorm to the south and west of that low pressure system, and sometimes out a little ahead of it too, just depending on where it's placed and what time of day it comes through. So that is going to be interesting and one that I will continue to watch. And as it pulls through, of course, it's going to leave with some wind. And then some snow is going to be smacking the main area down into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, all those areas. You all have seen so much snow this winter, and you don't get a few inches at a time. You get a foot or more at a time. So this is not going to be any different when this storm heads your way. So I'm going to back up a little bit and just go back west for a couple minutes and share with you what we're looking at for the west around the same time this system gets ramped up on the east. I'm going to be a busy girl this week weather-wise, which I love. So we still have that system after system that's going to come into California, which is very indicative of that high pressure that's been in play for the last few weeks breaking down. We're going to bring in some snow, introduce some snow back into the mountains of Oregon and Washington, and even into eastern Washington. There's going to be snow chances increasing, but it's going to be that daytime temperatures are going to be above freezing, but nighttime temperatures will be below freezing. So when there's precip around at night, it's going to fall as snow, and then it's going to warm back up during the day and then melt the snow. But that's going to be the case for all of next weekend, which is Valentine's Day weekend, if you celebrate that, if you even care about that. It's going to be a pretty active weather weekend with potential for snow overnight, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night next weekend, and then some rain during the day when those temperatures go above freezing. But still, this is on Monday, February 16th. We were going to have some mixed precipitation coming in potentially to western or eastern Washington with some snow in the mountains and snow in central Washington. But this whole area is definitely getting more colorful with the snow, with the rain, with the more active weather, which is very, very welcomed and very much needed for the snowpack for the summertime. And we want some cold temperatures because it helps to just create it helps to keep the bugs. It's the only word I can think of. Those pesky bugs, those, ticks, those flies and mosquitoes, those kind of things. Bees, the bad bees, not the good bees. We want the honey bees, but the bad bees that come out and they kind of wreak havoc with the hummingbirds. We want to keep everything in balance. And if it's too warm, it allows them to dominate. And if it's too cold, it doesn't allow the things to come back when they should. So we need that nice balance. And so I think the next week or two is going to help create some more balance over here in the West, which is going to be great. And as you can see, this system is exiting over here. This is Monday with some more snow here up into the Northeast. But that is going to be what I'm going to be focusing on this week, is the activeness of the West. The center part of the country, you're going to get some rain and then maybe some severe weather down here. I will focus on that as we get closer. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, especially time frame where things start to ramp up here in Texas and then heading east and then north. So temperature wise, everything is subject to change with the temperatures, but it's, as I mentioned, these colder temperatures that were with us with that previous storm of the 23rd to the 25th of January will not be in place in this part of the country. So you will not have to worry about ice down here in the South. You are going to have to worry about ice potentially here in Southwest Virginia, up into Maryland and into southeastern Pennsylvania, into New Jersey. So this is going to be the area to watch for ice and then rain and storms down here. So that is going to be it for today, for today's weather video. I wanted to get this out before anybody starts watching their Super Bowl festivities. I know I am a huge Seahawks fan, so I wanted to get it out so it wasn't too close to Super Bowl time. But that is it for today. Like, again, as I said, please go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment, all the good things for my weather channel. And I will be back next time tomorrow to bring another weather video to you. And this is Kate Weatherwise saying bye for now.